If you're looking for a fun project, you can't go wrong with a go-kart. Not that many mechanical parts. Which broken, you generally just replace. And when you're done, it is a lot of fun. This is an Avenger Yellow Jacket. I bought it out of a field. It was running when it was parked. It had been parked for many years. There's no reason to fix or try to repair the engine when you can buy one at Harbor Freight. This one, not in bad shape. Stripped it down, took everything apart, repainted it. I'm in the process of replacing the tires. Harbor Freight engine. I just buy the Harbor Freight engine. It is 120 bucks. It used to be 100. They've raised the price. They don't offer discounts anymore. That's on them. I made sure it worked. Everything worked before I stripped it, but after replacing the engine and new clutch, the thing worked great. The plan is to button up the throttle linkage. I just need to get those set screws and those collars on. I've got the cotter pins and the brake and gas I need to get back in place. I've got a Harbor Freight engine going in it. I've put the Harbor Freight in many a cart. Here's another cart I just finished recently. This one I'll not be keeping. I'll be getting rid of this one. So I'm going to get to work. This is the seat. As you can see, I've not touched the frame rails. They're a little rusty. I'm going to sand those down and paint them. The seat, I don't know why whoever used such thick wood on the back of the seat and then they narrowed it down to fit the frame rails. It's very weird. I'm going to replace that with some plywood. I've got some plywood here that is just about the right size. Right now I'm debating on whether to get new vinyl. If I get new vinyl, I'm going to lose this awesome little Yellow Jacket symbol. I usually don't do the stitching for the seat. I may try it for this one, see how it comes out. I don't know. I use some spray lubricant in the seat tracks. One, so they'll slide better. Two, so when I paint these things, it's not gonna get paint all stuck. The paint will stick to the lubricant, and that way the seat tracks will remain free and clear and still moving. They're a lot slicker. They were just all rusty and nasty. You can see by the rails, it's been a while. Probably looks like I have no idea what I'm doing. These tires, I cannot get them to break the bead. I have been able to do this before, but for whatever reason, these are just not working. So I've devised this clamp method to hopefully get the bead to pop. I've popped it on the other side. Now I'm trying to pop the reverse side of that. It's close, but just, the clamp, trying to get a pry bar or a screwdriver, just doesn't want to pop. But I'm so close to getting it with this clamp set up. And this is how I did the other side, set up all these clamps. So basically I've got these blocks to try to press the bead down. I've got one going across to kind of help stabilize it. These keep my blocks in place because they want to kind of kick out. And I'm clamping one side, can't speak. I'm trying to clamp one side down, try and get it to pull over the bead of the tire. And I'm close, I'm very close. I can see it, I can just see it. It just hadn't quite popped. Tires, I don't know what it is with them. They just don't want to cooperate. Ah, here we go. I think we got it. There we go. Done and done. If you've got any suggestions on a better way to do this, usually I just get a pry bar and you kind of get started around the bead and push it down, and it does not require this elaborate of a hardware setup, but that was not working for me. I will admit, on a couple of the tires, I got a little frustrated. I got one side off the bead. I could not get the other one. The tire's folding and flopping and doing all kinds of things. I just got frustrated with it. Took a hacksaw, got it off that way. Hacksaw and some side side cutters. But if you're getting frustrated, you just gotta stop. I get frustrated. It's like, all right, let me just cut it off. One thing I didn't do that I probably should have is put a bead of dish soap around it, and just makes it a little slicker. It'll slide off a little easier. I didn't do that. Probably part of my problem, not all of my problem. That's it now. I need to clean up these wheels. I'm going to paint them black because, again, this cart, everything all black. Once I paint them up, I'm going to get new tires, put them on the cart. I'm going to be this close to riding. So if my face looks funny, it's because I've been wearing a mask, I'm sanding. Anything that creates dust, I'm going to be wearing a mask because I don't want to breathe that in. I've gotten the wheels sanded, I've gotten the seat brackets sanded. They're going to be ready for paint tomorrow. I've just cut the plywood for the seat, bottom and back. So here's the wood for the seat. I rounded over the edges, both sides, with an 1/8 inch router bit, just that way it's not going to cut into the vinyl. I thought about trying to save the original seat. I like that little Yellow Jacket insignia. But this vinyl is just so brittle, it's not going to hold up. I don't know, I mean, obviously this seat was redone at some point. I don't know why they used this, 2x4, what was it, 2x8 for the back. I mean, they routed it out, I guess, because the screws were too short to go all the way through. I don't know, it's kind of a weird setup. I don't know why they did it the way they did. I'm just going to use plywood, that's what I use in all my builds. I'm going to get some bolts and some nutserts. The nutserts will insert right into my plywood. And it'll just be a little bit more secure. This was wood screws, and they were already pulling out. I may try to sew up my seat. I don't have this piping. I may try to sew my seat up, kind of like they did on the side. It makes it a better look. I usually do kind of the tuck and fold method. We'll see. I don't know if my sewing machine can sew vinyl, with the thickness I'm getting. But my vinyl should be in here tomorrow. I'm going to paint the seat backs black. I'm going to do that tonight so that it'll be ready for the vinyl tomorrow and get these seats done. I'm going to reuse the foam from these seats. It seems to be in pretty decent shape, and foam can get kind of expensive. Tomorrow I'll paint the seat brackets, and the wheels, and we're going to be one step closer. This is the vinyl to recover the seat. The existing vinyl seat is old, it's brittle. This is nice and soft, it looks a little bit like leather. Plan to reuse the existing foam to recover this. Looks like it's just wide enough to go over the bottom and the top. Love it. It's pretty dense foam. Better than we've seen a lot of carts. Yeah, I think we can reuse that. So I don't have enough foam to redo the complete seat. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take the seat I got, I'm going to butt up a little bit more to it to get just an extra couple inches I want, because I really want the seat bigger. And I don't want to buy foam to redo the whole thing because foam is just really expensive. The nice upholstery foam. Now I've opened up carts where the seat is just a bunch of towels or whatever trash I could find stuffed in there and recovered, but that is never very comfortable. And this is a cart that I want to keep, so I'm going to do it right. I'm just using a hobby knife, cutting the foam. I will glue the separate pieces of foam together just so they'll try to stay together, keep that edge in the seat. They won't come apart and split and do anything weird. Painted the wheels. They came out really well, except for this one. You can see that this one looks a lot less smooth. I was painting outside, I was holding it with one hand, painting with the other, dropped it in the dirt, tried to clean it up the best I can. I mean, there's grass and leaves and gravel stuck to it. Tried to clean it the best I could, figured why not just spray it, see what happened. Not great. These are T-nuts. They go on the top side of the board, not the bottom. I've made that mistake before. You need to put them in, then you'll glue your foam on top, then you'll recover the seat. So these T-nuts in place. It's an interesting design. This seat and back, they do two bolts on one side, one on the other, and then the back of the seat is flipped. It's two on this side, and then one on this side. Interesting way to do it, way to conserve, I guess, 2 bolts instead of doing 2 on both sides. So I will glue the foam on this surface, then I'll recover, and I'll be stapling it to this back side. I painted it black because it's the bottom, so that way you don't see bare wood. Blends in better. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Alright, so the plan today is to get the vinyl on my seats. I've sewn before. I've never sewn vinyl. I think my sewing machine will take care of it. If not, I'll do the old tuck and roll that I've done before. But I prefer to sew it on each end where you kind of have the main panel going across. You sew it on each end. It just looks a little cleaner. So I'd like to do that. Get the seats on. As you can see, I've got the seat brackets. I've got the wood, everything figured out. The T-nuts are there. I've tested it. I did have to shift one T-nut here. You can see this one. Kind of had to rasp it out that way a little bit. Just like 1/8 of an inch. Not a big deal. That T-nut still fits in there perfect. So the plan of these seats, I glued foam onto the end. I know it looks a little janky. You know, I flipped the foam because the ends are just rounded because it's been so long. The thing's been sitting outside and it's so old. Flipped it so that should round off the edge when I put the vinyl down. This makes it a little wider. I made the seat top and back a little bit longer. I just wanted that extra length. So I think once you curve this over, it should look fine. I may trim some of this a little bit because it may not curve enough for the vinyl. It may get like a little bit of ripple. I can cut that off. The next up are the wheels. As I was holding them, painting them, I dropped this one as I was painting it in the dirt, in the gravel, in the grass. You can see it looks like garbage because it is. So I'm going to see if I can strip that back down, repaint that. You can see what the wheel should look like. This is what it should not look like. So it's probably not quite as good as when I first started, but it's not bad at all. It's a lot smoother. And once you put on the cart and the thing's spinning at 20 miles an hour, you're not going to notice. So I'm mocking up the seat. You know, this is a little weird, this gap. I might try to put some foam in there to fill that better. I think too, because it's not really going to curve down with the way I'm sewing this together. But I did paper mock up just to get an idea of how this fits together, how I think I need to sew this. I've sewn stuff before. But you know, this I'm trying to like fit very specific dimensions, so I just wanted to sew it to mock it up, get an idea. So I think I've got a handle on it. I think my sewing machine will sew that vinyl. So we're gonna do one end, see what happens. I mean, the bad thing is for the base of the bottom seat, my vinyl is gonna have to stretch to get from this corner all the way to this back corner. So I'm gonna have to really pull these front and back corners down very far, which is fine. That's the aesthetic I'm going for. I'm gonna get sewn. I'm gonna give it a shot and see what we come up with. So a nice looking seam, right? The only thing I didn't account for, I wanted to sew in kind of the two pieces together and then do my curves and sides last after this piece is set, so it's not going to move on me. Problem is I sewed all the way across, and you can see I sewed all the way across. I should have stopped short so I can get that curve in there. I'm going to have to de-stitch, unstitch, rip the stitch. I'm going to have to rip the stitches just far back enough to where the curve should start so it can curve around, because these two pieces should meet, and there should be a curve in between here, and I sewed all the way across, so I'm going to have to undo that. But the sewing machine did well on the vinyl. I mean, it's a nice, clean seam if I just done it right. I'm not quite proficient on like doing curves. You know, I can sew a straight seam. I got no problem with that. And so I'm getting into curves and stuff like that, the things get a little wonky. And if I just remember to stop short on each side, and then I could try to figure out the curve. I mean, I don't think the curve's gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna undo this, redo this. So I just redid it. Check this out. Look at this curve, man. It looks really sharp. So the key of what I did to figure this out is that I realized if I just cut my one piece, cut the curve I want to this one piece, and just sew around where the edges kind of meet. Like basically, I'm taking two edges, one of them's curving, but I just make sure those edges stay aligned throughout as I curve. I thought, all right, I think that's will work out, and it did. I mean, check that out. That is just, it looks really good. I'm impressed with myself. I did not think I'd be able to do that. Yeah, it's a go-kart. Nobody's really going to care, but that really worked out. So basically what I went to from here, I found a bottle that is the right diameter, which is 3 inches, and I traced it. So next I'm going to cut it, and then I'll just sew these things together and just follow that curve. And as this is evidence, it's going to come out okay. Look at that, that came out really nice. I mean, this is something I don't sew often enough to remember. Like, I've probably done this curve thing a few times and I just keep forgetting because I don't do it often enough. But I mean, maybe that should be a bigger radius. I mean, at this point I'm locked in, but it'll definitely do what I want it to do and look the way I want it to look. Just looking at the initial test fit, I mean, it seems to fit pretty well. I mean, I still, like, you know, it's gonna need to be stretched to reach around the corners, but I'd rather it be stretched a little bit. Rather it be snug than loose. So it looks like I did a pretty decent job. I mean, I'm kind of impressed. I feel like an upholsterer. I mean, this looks really nice. You know, these seams, these corners, it's gonna be a nice looking seat. I mean, let me show you my last go-kart I did. I just do the old, you know, tuck and staple and roll method. I mean, I'm gonna staple this other one, but you know, this, you know, you get these wrinkles, you just kind of staple it the best you can and try to create the wrinkles, you know, look the same on either side. But there's not a lot to it. You know, you get stuff like this where it kind of blows out a little bit. Well, I think I'm just upping my game. Here's the seat in place. I wish the bottom one came out a little bit better. You can see I got a little bit of these puckers right here. And basically the issue with that is I ran out of material, so I had to make this a little bit tighter. And I like that better. You know, it's less flex, even though it's the same foam. You can see that the back just has more flex to it. So I had less material. I had to stretch it tighter across the seat. I didn't account for that in my radius, so my radius is the same. And the reason that does not happen in the back is that I didn't have enough material to wrap all the way underneath the back. I just stapled in the back of the plywood as opposed at the front where I went under and wrapped under. So that's the reason why it looks a little bit different. So I hate those puckers. I mean, I don't think in the grand scheme of things they're all that bad. I mean, overall, the seams look somewhat professional, pretty professional. I think if you glance at it, you think that'd be pretty good. There's my shop dog right there. Hey, Scooby, what you up to, man? You helping out? Yeah, you're a good shop dog, aren't you? So this is where we're leaving the cart for now. I have the engine. I'm not going to mount that until it's on the ground. It's not going to be on the ground until I have the tires and wheels on it. The tires are on order. They should be coming soon. The wheels, they're ready to go. So I'm just waiting on those tires. Once they're there, mount tires to wheels, put the wheels in the cart on the ground, engine on the cart, and we're all set. We're ready to go. Waiting on the tires. They've been ordered. Once the tires come in, this thing is pretty much set.